So I want to begin with
Yeah.
the Shastra. The first Shastra, let's take up Natyashastra.
Okay.
Now, the first basic question I would ask, or any audience would ask, is what is Natyashastra?
Exactly.
Who wrote it?
Yeah.
And how old is it?
Yeah.
And why was it written?
Yeah.
So can we start from there?
Exactly. That's a wonderful point to start with. To put it in simplest terms, I would say Shastra is a documentation of the tested practices which at one point of time have attained a kind of maturity, worth being documented. So whenever Shastras, many good Shastras, at least mostly reliable Shastras, have always recorded at that point of time when they have found some sophistication in the technique and some maturity in the technique. So that maturity gives some worthy concretization. It makes itself capable of being documented because it becomes very clearly and more precisely describable, and it can be made accountable in terms of aesthetics or in terms of its communication skills. So it makes itself available to be documented in a worthy way. So it is at that point of time that our scholars and practitioners have started documenting. So the first point we have to carry is that any Shastra is a tested practice. So I think we can start from there. Yeah. This thing is not just about I think Natyashastra or something that it's exclusive to art. I would say rather this the concept of this Shastra is applicable to any system of knowledge. Okay. So anything that goes into a valid krama or order of documentation has attained a certain maturity. That it allows itself to be documented in a concrete and a very, I should say, scientific way. Okay. So when I say...
what you're trying to say is that it's not randomly written.
Exactly.
It is based on some factual evidence or the practices of that time.
Exactly.
That's what you're trying to say.
Exactly. And this documentation, of course, the maturity that I spoke about is extraordinary in Natyashastra. So there might be inferior and superior works, we know, but this is a general sum up about how we arrive at Shastras, especially the very good Shastras that we have today. So that's how I think Bharatanṛutya is the author of Natyashastra. Of course, there's a lot of debate whether it was just one author or multiple authors. Yeah. So many debates are there, and to some extent, most of the scholars have agreed that Bharata must have been a single person. Okay. Because the kind of the flow of thought that we have, the unity of thought and philosophy, style of writing and the unity in philosophy, there are no contradictions throughout. It's very difficult to not to contradict when you have multiple authors, right? Even when you bring a book on so many scholars writing on one topic, still we find so many articles contradicting, right? Because our opinions differ. So
Bharatanṛutya was himself a dancer?
No, Bharatanṛutya is a rishi, seer. He's called as Muni. Muni is somebody who he's seer because they have distant vision. They are able to see beyond times. Okay. So they are able to see the purpose of this concept of rishi is so beautiful, and art is wedded to the concept of rishi because somewhere this it is important for an artist to transcend time. So in the first chapter of Natyashastra, the very story gives all these concepts, like how it is important for an artist to be a person of self-restraint. So that is why when the first chapter says that Brahmaji was approached, that an audio-visual learning is needed because the world is at that point of time was full of we believe in this yuga theory, right? Yeah. So according to our conceptualization of yuga theory, that is according to Sanatana Dharma, the Satya Yuga was flawless. There was no need for an art form, maybe because dharma was so consciously adhered to and protected that there was no need for an extra thing to cleanse the system. right? But by the end of Satya Yuga, there was already malice happening. So in order to cleanse the society, there was a need for an audio-visual approach which would be accessible to all sectors of society, because earlier Vedas were considered to be learned by Brahmanas and not other people. But that was again because the Vedas themselves were so difficult to be learnt that a person with that kind of bent of mind, Brahmanas are persons who are thinking about Brahman. That is what it meant. So highest contemplative state. Okay, so it was very difficult to be understood. So there had to be a simplified version of the Vedas themselves, with the essence of the Vedas not being compromised, but being given to the world in a way that it is accessible to all sections of society. This was the prayer that all the devatas had to Brahma, made to Brahma, and Brahma then says, then fine, I will create the Natya Veda. So he took the aspects of from Rig Veda, Patyam is basically the bowls, that the vocal aspect or the literary aspect, and from Yajur Veda it was Abhinaya. Abhinaya literally meant expressiveness, taking the things forward, going to the public or going to people. So communication, the communication skill, we can call it in brief. Sama Veda was the musical aspect, and Atharva Veda, the juices, because Atharva Veda also spoke about herbs and all aspects of society. So the essence. So this blending the best of all of the Vedas was created the Natya Veda. So goes the first chapter, and that's how Brahma created the Natya Veda, which was meant for both entertainment and enlightenment. So the first point we would like to note here is we never saw entertainment and enlightenment as two different things, especially not at all a contradiction. Maybe entertainment would lead to enlightenment, because to entertain you need to focus, you need to get absorbed. So enlightenment is the culmination of the focus. So we saw everything. Today we have so many questions. Why? What is education? So we did not have all these things as separate things to be attended to. It was all integrated. It was all integrated in the same thought.
So if I can sort of, I'm not comparing, but if I can sort of say that in today's world, an audio visual medium like a film is always introduced so that people understand things better.
Exactly.
Audio visual medium meaning it will contain literature, script, music, actions and everything. So Natyashastra is almost like an audio visual medium.
Exactly.
A book written, in the form of words, and explain to the world or explain to the common people, to understand what is there in Vedas.
Exactly.
Correct?
The essence of the Vedas, because finally, if you have to understand why the Vedas and what is the essence of the Vedas, it comes to the point that we all are seeking happiness, is it not? So happiness is something that is a state where we feel contentment and fulfillment for the moment. If this moment I'm happy, it means this moment I have some fulfillment. I have no immediate desire that is going to drive me to do something and make me restless. This moment I'm feeling some happiness, is that. So this was the focus. Like anybody who has to be happy has to be contented, and all these vices like kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya that our shastras talk about. Kama is desire, krodha is anger, lobha is greed, moha is delusion, lobha, moha, mada is intoxication or being arrogant, atma bhimana.
The seven sins basically, what is in the Western world called.
7 sins.
I think 7 sins.
This is 6.
6 is it? Okay.
Ari Shed Varga. Ari means enemies, our internal enemies.
Okay.
Mada Matsarya is jealousy. So all these are rooted from one kama only. Kama means desire. So desire clearly means that this moment something that you want is not there with you. It starts from there. So the moment I start a want, then it leads to all these things. If the want is satisfied, then what? If the want is not satisfied, then what? How do we, when we chase the wants, what? If I have a want and I see my want satisfied by somebody else, then it is jealousy. There are different forms of the same thought, desire. And desire is a clear indication that this moment there is something that is unfulfilled in you, which is making you restless. So all these were called Arishad Vargas. So, and this was a distraction in human mind. So art was about, homecoming. Help you to transcend these distractions at least for a while and stay contented in your own self.
Distraction in the path of enlightenment or to reach the ultimate?
No, distraction is anything that makes you restless, as simple as that. So anything that makes you restless and continuously drives you into activity was caused distraction. So here comes the Purusharthas that even Natyashastra has mentioned. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So this Artha means or the ways to achieve. Kama is desire. Kama is desire and Artha is the means to achieve the desire. So if these two are directed in the path of Dharma, then we are peaceful. At least we are heading towards peace. If these two are not in the path of Dharma, then we are heading in the opposite direction. We would never have peace ourselves, nor will we enable anybody else to have their peace. So exactly the opposite direction. So this Purusharthas, where the Kala is to put this Artha and Kama that we find in the Loka. Loka is the world. So the world is nothing but bundle of desires and the means to achieve these desires through the setup called human beings. Right? So we are all in this race. So the track is you fall into dharma, dharmic way. What is a dharmic way? Anything that helps you to attain peace through this path. See, we all can't stop seeking knowledge. We can't stop seeking money to make a living. All this is not a taboo or all this is not sin, but these things should lead somewhere, right? They should slowly, that is why we have this ashramas, right? Now you are brahmacharya and then you enter grihastha, then there's something called vanaprastha and something called sannyasa. That means you have to get there at a point when we are able to say, I think I'm ready now to live in my own. You find some contentment finally. So we have to go that side. That is the whole point of the Vedic thought is rooted here. We are born, we have to do our karma, but finally we are getting to a higher realm where there is more peace and satisfaction and you don't want to disturb or want anything out of everybody else.
So find your peace.
Find your peace. Okay. So when this itself was disturbed, because of Kala Kramena, the peace during Satya Yuga to Treta Yuga was already disturbed. That is why one Rama had to come. And from Treta to Dwapara, it was even more disturbed. And Kali Yuga is supposed to be the most disturbed. And we are heading to more and more disturbances. This is how the Yuga theory says. So I feel, considering all these things, art is more required today. Not by these theories, by what we find in the realistic state around us. More of art is needed because, and the job of art should be clearly understood now. That art should lead the artist and the connoisseur to be at peace with their own selves, at least for a while. It's just go back to your own seat within and, disconnect with all your unnecessary affiliations, which is the source of joy. When you disconnect with unnecessary affiliations, we are by our own selves happy. Right. Exactly, right? So this is the job of art. And this is how the whole, in fact, why was Natya Veda created? For the same reason. What was even the petition made is this. There's so much of disturbance in the world.